महो विश्वं परित्यज्य मया पुनः ततश्चित्कौशलादेव परमात्मा विलोक्यते यथा नतो यतो भिन्नाः तरंगाः फेन बुद्बुदाः आत्मनो न तथा भिन्नम् विश्वमात्मविनिर्गतम्. You see, we hear the words Atma and Paramatma. Generally, we think that Atma is oneself, namely the Jiva, and the Paramatma is the God. That is how we say. But really speaking, Atma itself is Paramatma. Paramatma alone is Atma. It is like 18 karat gold is Atma and a 24 karat gold is Paramatma. Like that. Okay? So, sometimes the gold could be 14 karat. Not even 18 karat. Okay? So 14 karat gold is Atma and 24 karat gold is Paramatma. Now if you take the 14 karat gold and melt it and remove the impurities, just by melting all the impurities will go. They get oxidized and go. It becomes 24 karat gold. Similarly, you start with the Jiva hood and you grow into the divinity. Atma is the Paramatma. The word Paramatma is like something like pure ghee. Pure ghee. In India, we have some shops where it is written there. Here, pure ghee is available. Means in every shop you won't get pure ghee. You will get only in certain shops. Whereas in America, they don't write pure ghee. They write ghee. Because they don't have two kinds of ghees. One is pure ghee and the other is impure ghee. They don't have it. They only have ghee. And so they write ghee available like that. So this is what is the difference between ghee and pure ghee? Same it is. The same. They are not two different things. But because of the impurities, the ghee appears to be separate from pure ghee. Really it is not separate. Atma and Paramatma is like that. So Paramatma, by adding a certain set of limitations, like the body identification, etc., becomes Atma, becomes Jiva, really. In the Vedanta texts, we use the words Atma and Paramatma as synonyms. We don't use them to mean separate. Therefore, whatever Paramatma which was talked about in the verse 3, the same Paramatma is again further described in verse 4. So, you see, we are talking of the God. Now, what is the God, Paramatma? You see, you are looking at the world, you are seeing the world, you are listening to the sounds of the world, enjoying the tastes that the world has got to offer, and also experience the touch, the sense of touch that the world offers to us, cold, heat, etc. And also enjoy the perfumes and other things of the world. So the light by which you perceive the world, the perception itself is fivefold. That is why I describe it like that. Therefore, the light by which you perceive the world, so is the God. That is the God. That is Atma. And that is Paramatma. Okay? Therefore, that light, when it is conditioned to a body-mind, it appears as the little spark, I am. That is the little spark, I am. And so, this spark, I am, is at the beginning of every cognition or every perception, and also it is the end of every cognition and perception. That little spark, I am, which is the first and last of every act of knowing, of every act of cognition. That little spark is the seed from which the tree of God grows. So take the little spark, I am, and divest it. Means make it got rid of, divest it from every possible limitation. The limitations being unreal. Therefore, it should not be difficult to get rid of the limitations. If they are real limitations, then you cannot get rid of. But because they are unreal limitations, they are imagined due to ignorance, and those limitations, when they are removed, so that spark I am itself grows into the Godhood or the divinity. That is the meaning of saying Atma is the same as Paramatma. Okay? So all that we have seen. Now we are looking at this verse. So here the presentation is a very interesting one. There is a water body. Toya is water, And then you have different forms in which water presents itself. Like big waves is one form in which you get water. And then wavelets, small waves, that is another form. Then pena is surf, that is another form that water takes. Budbuda is a bubble, water bubbles. So like this, you get many forms of water. These are all the forms. Here comes the catch. The catch is between water and the wave, is there a difference or not? You have to come to understand that. Between water and wave, is there a difference or not? So, the dualists, the philosophers of the dualism kind, they say water is water, wave is wave. They are not the same. For example, you look at the size, like you have a big lake, look at its size, and then look at the wave, it is so small in size. Therefore, water, lake, the water body, take it as water. Water is water, wave is wave. The two are not the same. This is Dvaita, dualism. Okay? Then there is a thing called Vishishtadvaita. So they don't say water is water, wave is wave, as if they are two separate things. They are not entirely separate. In fact, the water is associated with waves. So it is still water only, but associated with waves. Vishishta means associated with waves. Therefore it is one God, but he is connected with, like that they describe. You can say stuck with also, you can say. The poor God is just stuck with all these jivas, you can say like that. Like this water body is stuck with all these waves rising in itself. The water, even if it wants to get rid of these waves, it cannot. So, but anyway, that is the critique part of it. But their thesis is water and wave are separate, but they are always together. They are separate, but always together. Similarly, God is one, Advaita, but associated with countless jivas. This is Vishishtadvaita. These two presentations, that water separate, waves are separate, or water and waves are separate, but the water is associated with waves. You say separate, but they are not separate like horse and donkey. Like that they are not separate. They are separate yet connected, yet together. Together means even horse and donkey can be together. No, not that kind of together. Horse and donkey are together, but you can separate them. But this is such a togetherness where you cannot separate them. But the otherness persists. God is the other, jivas are the other. That persists. But they are other, not like the horse and donkey, but like water and waves only. They are separate, but in a way that you cannot separate them physically. Like that they describe. These descriptions of dualism, either it is a simple outright dualism, they are separate, or some kind of a qualified dualism, that they are separate yet together. That kind of a qualified dualism, they appeal to the human mind, to the common mind they appeal. Because it is easy to believe, it is easy to believe than to think. It is easier to believe than to think. Thinking involves a lot of inner energy. You should cultivate that energy and expend that energy and think. Thinking is an energetic thing it is. It requires energy. Whereas believing, it doesn't require any energy. And therefore, people, they don't want to think. You see, Newton's laws, if you see, these bodies are there, they are moving, and they are moving in space. Space is absolute. And movement implies time, time is absolute. And they follow certain laws. First law, second law, third law. It looks very precise, very scientific, very rational, all that. But that is not the end of the story. Then comes Einstein. He says, space is not absolute, nor time is absolute. They are not absolute. And then they are not space and time. We feel like that. This is space and this is time, like that. No, they are not space and time. They are together. You cannot separate them. They are like obverse and reverse of a coin. You cannot separate the two. They are together. So space and time, they are one. It is what is called continuum. Continuum. That is the word. You cannot. They are not space and time. Like table and chair. It is not a continuum. You can have the table without the chair. You can have the chair without the table. That is not a continuum. Whereas the space-time is a continuum. You cannot have time without space, nor space without time. And then they remove the objects, the movement, etc. So, you see, Newton's laws are based on simple geometry, where point A to point B is a straight line. That is the geometry, and angle, etc. That is Newton's law. But did you ever notice, if you go by flight, he shows the flight route he shows. It is not a straight line, it is a curved line. There are no straight lines. Straight line is in your head only. In actuality, there are no straight lines. Therefore, your entire geometry, which you have learnt in the high school and college, is thrown aside. And now you need a new kind of geometry. Because it is a curved membrane-like thing. The space is like a curved membrane. And on a curved membrane, the line that joins 2 points, the shortest line that joins 2 points, is not a straight line. It is an arc. Therefore, your entire geometry has to be rejigged. You have to change the entire geometry. Are you following? Therefore, what appeals at the outset to a non-thinking mind or a believing mind, it is false. If you go deeply into it, and if you start thinking deeply, everything will put upside down, ulta upside down. Such a thing, such a vision is Advaita. Advaita is such a vision. Look at water and waves. That is the example. Water and waves. Of course, he gives bubbles, surf, etc. A few other things he adds just for the variety of it. But essentially, you can settle the issue by considering water and waves. So, now you tell me, waves, are they ever? No. They are born. They appear and they disappear. They are born. Instead of saying appearing and disappearing, people say they are born and they are destroyed. That is how they say. You see, if you say appear and disappear, you are already into the vision of Tattvavidananda. But they don't say that. They want Karana Karya Bhava. God is the cause sitting there. And all this is the effect sitting here. Cause is sitting there and effect is sitting here. Cause is real, effect is also real. And then, so people like it, you know. So you do a few things, you can go there. And there it will be all pleasure and all that. Like that. You see, I tell you one thing, if you give me the freedom to tell, people, you decide where you fit, okay? People mostly, they want to be told. Even you sitting here, you want to be told by a Swami. There is another thing, wanting to be told versus learning. They are two different things, they are not the same. When you want to be told, means you entirely hand over the job to the Guru and you are just waiting to be told. You are waiting to be told. When you are waiting to be told, you are not the subject, you are the object. You are the object. Okay? Therefore, you are not a living entity anymore, you are dead. Please don't mind. Okay? Right? Whereas when you are learning, you are not the object, you are the subject. And you are alive. When you are learning, you are alive. When you are waiting to be told, you are dead. Do you like it? When I say like that, do you like it? Please like it. No harm. I love all of you. You see the difference. And now, once it comes to your thinking, this message I am giving, when you are waiting to be told, this is the Gurudom. In the Gurudom, you have to wait to be told. You wait there. Go there and present yourself with a lot of ritualized reverence and wait there. Dress properly and put all the right kind of marks on the forehead and all that. And wait there reverentially, you wait. You present the offerings and all that and wait. Wait for what? Wait to be told. I suggest the one who is waiting to be told is dead already. He may be moving around, but he is dead. Because he is the object, you know. He is the object, you know. He is not the subject. Whereas you are learning, then you are alive. So, this, nobody tells some of these things, nobody tells you these things. Quite often you don't hear these things oftentimes. You hear them occasionally, you believe me. Please come. I am telling some important principle. You are welcome. Please come. Come, sir. Please come and take seat. Therefore, in a class, you are waiting to be told, you don't get much from it. Whereas you are learning, when you are waiting to be told, you handed over the responsibility to the other guy. The other guy may be called Guru, etc. Or some name you give to the other guy. But you hand over the responsibility to the other guy. one paper there also. Yeah. Whereas when you are learning, you take the responsibility upon you. Therefore, while you are learning, there is no gurudom in it. Whereas when you are waiting to be told, it is all the way the gurudom. Anyway, so these things appear very appealing, that wave is different, water is different. Or they are different, all right, but they are ever associated. But in both cases, it is difference is highlighted. But when we come to Advaita Vedanta, we look at it in a revolutionary way. Just like the space-time thing is a revolution. The Einsteinian physics is a revolution. Newtonian physics still holds good in its place. We need not dismiss it altogether. But the Einstein's physics is a revolution. Now there are no straight lines, there are only arcs. So that kind of a revolution, and space and time are not absolute anymore. They are together, and they are the opposites, like the positive and negative charge. So there is a lot of physics associated with it. That is a very big thing. So this water wave thing is also like that. It is also like that. How? You see, what is water. What is water. And what you see are the waves. So there is a huge difference between is and appearing, being and appearing. Being applies to water, appearing applies to waves. Of course, you need the water. Without the water, there is no appearing. Appearing is not possible without water. Being is water. Being is there. With waves, water is. Without waves, water is. The being is a constant factor. Whereas waves appear and then disappear. Now what we do is, waves are born, you say, birth. This birth, it captures the imagination of people. Birth. They are amused by the word birth. They say childbirth. The child is born. Now, you see, if you carefully observe, nothing is really born. The child, nothing is really born. The child, which is enclosed by the womb of the mother, is now out in the open. That's it. You don't call it, nothing is really born. The child was, the child is, and the child will be. Nothing is really born. But human mind is amused by birth. It wants a birth there. And therefore, the child is born from. So now you are looking for causes. So two causes, father and mother. Two causes for the childbirth. But suppose you do not even accept the birth, then where are causes now? What happens to the causes? Shankara says, na me mata na pita. Did you ever pay attention to that? People, you know what to do? They will have a harmonium and tabla and they sing na me mata na me pita, like that they sing. Yeah? And why do you need harmonium and tabla for this na me mata na me pita? You have to understand what it says. Okay? Therefore, you see, you ask me, hey Swami, do you admit anything called birth? I say no. I do not admit anything called birth. So that means what? You don't admit anything called father and mother? No, I do not admit anything called father and mother. Oh, then you mean to say you don't serve your mother now. Don't drag it like that. Don't connect wrongly. I love my mother and I do my service to the mother. But that is a different thing. That is incidental. That is, when you love every human being, why not a human being called mother? When you serve anybody who comes across your way, suppose, why don't you serve your mother? You will. But the point is not that. You should not confuse things like that. Okay? So, you should not confuse. For example, the sun neither rises nor sets, always shines. That doesn't mean that evening will not be there, morning will not be there. No. Morning will be there, evening will be there, everything will be there. But the fact remains that the sun neither rises nor sets. Similarly, we don't admit any birth. This is called Ashtavakra, non-dualism. No, we don't admit any birth. Nothing is born. You show me what is born. You show me what is born. A child is born, you prove. You explain to me how a child is born. A child is not born. A child is. Therefore, the wave is born, you say. The wave is born. And therefore, now you have brought in a new entity. Because it is born, you know, a new entity. And to begin with, you have water. Now you have brought in a new entity called wave. Now you start giving connections. Water is the cause. Wave is the effect. Karana, Karya. Okay? And then start discussing. Now you have two things. Now you have to establish a connection between the two. Like that, Jiva, Ishvara, the Jagat is born from Ishvara, and therefore Ishvara is the cause. Jagat is the effect. Like that, you can go in the direction, and you can discuss for eons, whole life you can discuss. Nobody will stop you. And you can create religions out of these discussions. That is how religions are created. And so all that can go on. But the fact remains, if you are willing to examine carefully what is a wave. Wave is, when water is placid, you call it water. The same water, it rises a little and falls, then you call it wave. Rises and falls means time and space. That is what it is. Rises and falls. There is an action involved there, rising and falling action. Action means time. And rising and falling means time, space, height, and the space must be there, you know. So, now what you have done, you are looking at water through the prism of space-time. And you end up seeing a wave. So what you have to understand is, there is nothing like a wave, it is water only. Instead of looking at it direct, I am looking at it through the prism of space-time. Therefore, the blessed water appears as wave. Suppose this prism of space-time I eliminate, there will be no wave, only water will be there. In chemistry, we have a reagent which detects water. It's called Carl Fisher reagent. It detects water. If water is there, it will change color. If it is wet, it will change color. If it is dry, it remains the same. That is the reagent. Suppose you use that reagent. Will it detect water or will it detect wave? Water. It will detect water only. It will never detect anything called wave. Because this reagent, it cannot look at the thing it is examining through space-time. The space-time doesn't exist. Therefore, every single time, you take this reagent to the wave, it detects water. You take this reagent to the bubble, it detects water. You take this reagent to the surf, it detects water. It detects only water and nothing else. It doesn't admit anything called waves, bubbles, foam, all these variations, it doesn't admit. It doesn't recognize. But you take the human mind there, it fails to detect water and it comes out with fanciful names, waves, breakers, wavelets, bubbles, surf, whirlpools, whatnot. The human mind comes out with all these things. Okay? So, and then you say, they all originate from the water alone. Now you have created so many things now, you have to point out what is the cause of all these things. And the cause is water. So karana karya bhava. You see, some people start learning Vedanta with karana karya bhava, cause-effect relationship. And they get stuck in itself. They don't move forward. They don't move forward. They get stuck there. Whereas a few, they learn the karana karya bhava and see the inadequacy of the karana karya bhava, and they move forward. They go beyond this karana karya bhava, this cause-effect thing. They go beyond. And for them, so nothing is more. They go into the domain of what is called Ashtavakra. You see, somebody asked me a question. It is not a really question, it's a challenge rather. So I asked him, did you ever study Ashtavakra? He said, I don't know what it is. Sit down. Sit down. Because you are asking me something based on Karana Karya Bhava, whereas I have left behind long back. I am in Ashtavakra. Can you come where I am? You try. Otherwise you sit there, or go and sit on a tree. Do one of those things. Because you cannot understand. That is what I said. I don't think that I am doing it. Just I invent a story and told you. Okay? Therefore, you want the karana karya bhava. You want it. Okay, you have it. But all these waves, etc., are born from water. Water is the cause. And waves, etc., are the effect. You can describe like that. Nothing wrong. Okay? But the one who knows says, there are no waves. Waves are unreal. They appear, but they are not real. Water alone is real. That is what he says. And this is only illustration. But then what is the point that he tries to make? So Atma alone is. Everything else is an appearance. That is the point that he is trying to make. So first you have to understand the illustration adequately and then apply it to the point on hand. You see, one thing you have seen how the idea of a rose, it comes from the head. So, you are looking at a flower, say rose, you are looking at a rose, and ask, what is the cause of this rose? Immediately, very superficially, you look at it and say, the plant is the cause. Okay, the plant is there, it has given birth to the rose. Therefore, rose is caused by the plant. But you know better than that. Morning class you have listened to. The rose is not what is there. The rose is what you project. Right? You have seen that. Where is the rose? It is in your memory. You say it is the rose. It doesn't say, I am the rose. Did it ever say, I am the rose? In the entire history of this universe, this rose, did it ever say, I am the rose? No. It is only the human mind which is conditioned to call it rose, says rose. We have seen that, right? Therefore, when you ask me, what is the origin of this rose? If you apply cause-effect relation, the classical cause-effect relation, the cause-effect thesis of the Vaisheshikas and Nayayikas, the Indian logicians, if you apply that, you would say the plant is the cause and rose is the karya effect. But if you correctly understand, the plant has not given birth to the rose, your head has given birth to the rose. Rose is a projection from your head. There was the samskara or the impression of rose in your head, and that's why you see a rose. A person who doesn't know rose will never see rose. Only the one who knows the rose sees the rose. You see, when the Spanish people went to Brazilian coast, they were going everywhere and colonizing the places, right? They colonized Brazil also. The first time the Spaniards, they went by ships to the Brazilian coast, and so the locals, the indigenous people who were living there, one of them saw the spectacle of all these ships and people coursing towards the coast, and he ran inside, went into his small village of the indigenous people, and he woke them up, and so the entire village came running to the beach, and they saw. It is recorded that they saw the Spaniards, the humans, the human beings they saw, but they never saw ships. Got it? Why do you know? Because they did not know ship. They don't know what is a ship. Therefore, they did not see ship. They knew human beings because they were looking at each other all the time, and therefore they have seen people coming, but they did not see ships. They did not see anything called ships. So, unless you know rose, you will not see a rose. Therefore, what you call a rose is a projection of your mind. It is not what the plant has given birth to. It is something which you have projected. Now you tell me, but I am making a big deal of it. I am conscious of that. So I will bring it to some meaningful conclusion now. So the rose, where is its cause? Is the plant its cause? No. Your head is its cause. Okay? Like the serpent that you see in the rope, that rope serpent, was it born from an egg? No. From where? Unless you call this the egg. So that serpent was born from this head it was born. It was projected. It did not take birth from an egg. So similarly, the rose came from your mind. And what is mind? Mind is consciousness. See, the mind and consciousness, the relation between the two? Consciousness in movement is called mind. Under the background of the thoughts, mind means thoughts, the background of this flow of thoughts is called consciousness. It is like you have a lake and the waves come. So mind is the waves, lake is the consciousness, something like that. Therefore, what you call the rose has its origin not in the plant, not outside. It has its origin in your consciousness. And therefore, so did you understand that? It means what you call rose is but rose consciousness. That is what it is. Here we are making a principle. The principle is there cannot be existence without consciousness. Rose is means rose consciousness is. You say that there is a rose only when you are conscious of the rose, right? Suppose you are not conscious of the rose, you will not say there is rose. Like those indigenous people of Brazil, they said, oh, there are people, but they never said, oh, there are ships. So, therefore, what you call a rose is but rose consciousness. What you call a mountain is but mountain consciousness. What you call a river is but river consciousness. When you look at a person, that is the person consciousness. And then you become conscious of the person as an adversary. Then he becomes adversary. Otherwise he is not an adversary. You become conscious of the person as a friend. Then he is a friend. Otherwise not. So what you call a friend is in your consciousness. What you call a foe is in your consciousness. Everything that you perceive as though outside is indeed included in your consciousness. Are you okay with that? I will give you one more example. You go to a movie and watch the movie. And in the movie, the hero, this is Indian movie. Indian movie will have a hero. Whereas hero, heroine, villain. This language is not used in Hollywood. Here you have leading actor, leading actress, like that they talk. So the hero, now the hero, where is the hero? You tell me. On the screen. People in India believe that the hero is on the screen. They throw flowers. But I am sure you know better than that. The hero is not on the screen. The hero is at his house, you know. So he is not on the screen. But I am asking about the hero that you see. The hero that you see is certainly not on the screen. Not in the film also. Film, how can such a big hero can sit inside the film? He is not in the light also, because light is light. Now where is the hero now? He is in your head. The entire movie is in your head. The entire movie, all the scenes, and all the rasas, the sentiments, the pity, the love, every single sentiment, wonder, all sentiment, navarasas, they are all in your head. In the movie, suppose there is an ocean. In the movie you see an ocean. That ocean is in your head. You see a dinosaur, it is in your head. You see a helicopter, it is in your head. It is in your consciousness. But all you see in the movie is in your consciousness. This is one thing you have to understand. You see, Vedanta is not just being told. You are waiting to be told. Then you are as good as a dead, I tell you. Because to be told means you are not even a subject. You are an object you have become. So you don't wait to be told. That is not Vedanta. Vedanta is you examine, you investigate. With the help of the speaker, if you can say so. So you examine, you investigate, you inquire. What you call, suppose two people are coming. Oh, he is my friend. First, who are there? Two people are coming. So there are two people in the consciousness. They come near. Oh, he is my friend and he is my adversary. Now where are the friend and adversary? They are in your consciousness. First there are two people in the consciousness. Then one of them friend and the other adversary in consciousness. Everything is in consciousness. A young man is standing before you. You say, hey, who is that young man coming? The young man is in your consciousness. Oh, he is my son. The son is in your consciousness. He is not outside. There is no outside. What you call outside also is in your consciousness. Everything is in your consciousness. And therefore, when you see a mountain, you give birth to a mountain. When you see an ocean, you give birth to an ocean. When you see a human being, you give birth to a human being. When you see a rose, you give birth to a rose. When you stop seeing, they are not there at all. This is high standard physics it is, quantum physics. The thing is, only when you see it, only when you are conscious of it. And therefore, this entire universe that you experience is included in your consciousness You are the author of this universe. That is what the verse says. So, now you see, Tarangaha Bhenabudbhudaha. So the waves, the wavelets, etc., the surf, the bubbles, etc., are never different from the water. They are not different from water. Don't go on counting. You see, there are two kinds of counting. Like there is a gold one. Now you come across necklace. Now you count. What is it? No, same it is. It is the same gold. No, it is necklace. No, it is not necklace. Necklace is what you made. It is gold. So gold plus necklace is equal to gold. Plus earring is equal to gold. There is nothing but gold. Similarly, water plus waves, still water. Plus bubbles, still water. Similarly, the consciousness plus so many things that come to light in that consciousness, still it is the same consciousness. Consciousness alone is, nothing else is. Therefore, so, tatha, in the same way, the first line is illustration, the second line is in the same way, Vishwam Atmanaha na bhinnam. The universe is not separate from you. Why? How can you say the world, the universe is not separate from you? Because Atma Vinirgatam. It has sprung out, it has come out, it has originated from the Atma, which is your own inner light. This is the vision. This you have to come to terms with this vision. Therefore, the Atma, the inner light, alone appears as so many things which we call the universe. You see, you are looking at the screen of a movie and you see many things on the screen. You see multiple scenes, and then every scene consisting of so many things. Like in a given scene, there is a park and a beautiful meadow, trees, plants, flowers. And suddenly, the young man called the hero, he arrives. And then the heroine arrives. They start dancing and singing. All of that you see there. All of that. Where is it located? You take this example. It is only the light appears as all of that. The light that is thrown by the projector, that light, intercepted by the film, appears as all the scenes, scene after scene after scene. That light alone appears. What you call the hero is the light. What you call the heroine, male, female, everything is the same light. The villain, good guy, bad guy, everything is the same light. And then the meadow is the same light. A dead rock, the same light. An animal, the same light. Right? Similarly, you are that light. You are that light. Intercepted by the mind. Mind is the film. And this light, which is the Atma, as it is intercepted by the film, appears on the screen as so many objects, so many things. You know what is the screen? Space-time. Space-time is the canvas. You need a screen also, you know. Therefore, on the canvas of space-time, you see a world which is merely a projection of the mind, but then the light which illuminates that world as seen on the canvas of space-time is your own Atma, that is the light of awareness. So, that is how you have to understand. Therefore, when you are looking at other people, they are not other people, they are all included in yourself. The pleasures are included in yourself, the pains are included in yourself, the friends are in you, the foes are in you, the living are in you, the non-living are in you. In you means not the physical body. How come? They are all included in the light of consciousness, but they appear to be outside. Why? Why? You see, even in the movie, everything, the light alone is everything. But they appear to be separate from light, they do not appear as the light. There is a reason for it. Similarly here also, they are all included in your own consciousness, but they appear as though they are outside of it. Why? What is the reason? The reason is our innate identification with the physical body. Intrinsically, instinctively, you identify with the physical body. And therefore, the entire content of consciousness appears as though it is outside. It is indeed outside the physical body, but not outside the consciousness. Okay? Suppose that other end wall, the wall at the other end, it is outside very much the physical body. It is very much outside the physical body. Physical body is here, wall is there. But the wall, the space which contains the wall, the distance from here there, all of that form, that name and form, all of that, is it outside your consciousness? Cannot be. If they are outside your consciousness, how come you describe it so vividly? They are already included in your consciousness, and therefore you are able to clearly see all those things. Therefore, when you are looking at a tree, the tree is certainly outside the body, but not outside the consciousness. That's why what you call tree is the consciousness intercepted by the mind, therefore appearing as the tree on the canvas of space-time. That is what it is. Therefore, you have to carefully examine this issue and come to terms with this fact, namely, what all you perceive, what all you experience is indeed in yourself. Therefore, like the water body, the water upholds all these waves and other things. The same way, you uphold this entire world that you experience in your consciousness. Therefore, what you call the world, it is not different from consciousness. The consciousness alone appears as the world. You see, you look at a person and say, he is my friend. And the next day you say, he is my enemy. When you say he is my friend, so he is illuminated in your, he is included in your consciousness, but the mind has presented that as a friend. Next day, the same mind presented as the enemy. There is a change in the filter, namely the mind. There is no change in consciousness, because a friend is in the consciousness, a foe is also in the consciousness. Pleasure is in consciousness, pain is in consciousness, everything is in consciousness. That's why you are not the physical body which you take yourself to be. You are the light in which this physical body, these sense organs and organs of action, this mind, and then the entire world that you experience comes to light. That is the light, you are the light. Bodhaha. So I discussed a lot about this bodhaha. You are that consciousness in which you see or you experience all this entire universe. That is the verse, but the idea is still continuing. We will say one time the verse and conclude it. Yatha nato yato bhinnaha taranga phena budbudaha atmano na tatha bhinnam vishvamatma vinirgatam. Next verse. Tantu matro bhavedeva pato yadvad vicharitaha atma tanmatramevedam tadvad vishvam vicharitam. The word Vishvam is used again and again. He says only Vishwam. Earlier verse he says Vishwam here also. So in Gita, in Dakshinamurti Stotram also you hear the word Vishwam. Vishwam, that is how Dakshinamurti Stotram begins. Dakshinamurti Stotram is only 10 verses. Shankara. But what people do, they make a few other verses and put before and after. And therefore, in the 10 verses, you do not have any description of Dakshinamurti as a given form. You only have a mild hint, nothing more than that. Do not have any particular description. But in the Purana, there is a description. Dakshinamurti is like this, like that, there is a description. And based on the Puranic descriptions, some poet makes a few verses. Like Vatavitapi Samipe, Bhumi Bhage, Nishannam, like that. There is a banyan tree. Underneath the banyan tree there was a platform. And on that platform an elderly person or a young man is sitting. And then all these old rishis assemble around him. He is teaching. Like that, this is what is called a descriptive portrait, a verbal portrait. Is written by a very skillful poet, and he makes a few short poems. And therefore, what the people do, they collect all these poems and put them there and start reciting. And somebody prints them. And so now they all become part and parcel of Dakshinamurti Stotram. They are not so. Only 10 verses. The first verse, Vishwam, it begins as Vishwam. You know what is Vishwam? Vishwam translated as world, but then it is something more than a simple word called world. Vishwam, V means many, multifold, manifold. That is Vividha. Shva means cognized. Shva, so it is cognized in manifold way. That is the Vishwam. You know what it means? It means what you call the world is what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you smell. Take it like that, what you smell, okay? And then what you touch, that is the Vishwa. There are 5 senses and you cognize the world, the 5 aspects of the world through those 5 senses. And these 5 aspects put together, what are they? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These 5 aspects put together is called Vishwam. Okay? Now where is this Vishwam? What you see, where is it? In your sight. What you hear, in your faculty of hearing. What you taste is in your taste buds. What you smell is in your olfactory sense. And what you touch is in your sense of touch. So, what you see, is it outside your sight or included in your sight? It is included in your sight. Okay? That's why whatever is in your sight you see, whether it is outside or not, is beyond the point. For example, you see a serpent, because the serpent is in your sight. Outside there is no serpent. Okay? You see my brother, you see the brother, because the brother is included in your thinking, in your consciousness. Outside there is no brother. Outside there is a human being whom you want to see as brother. Therefore you see it as brother. This is how it happens. That's why you see in marriage this is very vividly presented. Before the marriage function, they are not wife and husband. They are what they are, whatever they are. But once the marriage ceremony happens, so he looks at her as wife. He doesn't look at her as anything else, as wife. What is wife? She is a human being, you know, not wife. But he looks at her as wife. You know what is wife? Wife is an image that he has about her. And where is this image? This image is hanging on her or is it in his head? The same thing goes with the husband. That's why I tell you, the wife and husband don't live together. The image of the wife and the image of the husband live together. Really? In fact, there are 4 images if you understand correctly. What are they? I am the husband, she is the wife. 2 images from my side and 2 images from my wife's side. 4 images. That is called family life. And sometimes these images don't go together well. And so the quarrels happen. Therefore, what you call Vishwam is in your consciousness. It is not outside your consciousness. It appears what you call outside is in your consciousness. What you call inside is your consciousness. Like the car is outside. Means what? Outside the compound wall. Not outside the space. Car is inside means with reference to compound wall inside. With reference to space, it is neither inside nor outside. It is ever in space. Similarly, when you say it is outside, the tree outside means outside this compound wall called the physical body, not outside your consciousness. Outside, inside means the inside the compound wall. Anyway, you got the point. In the place of space, you have to substitute consciousness. Everything is included in your consciousness. That's why Shankara says, Vishwam Nijantargatam. Darpana Drishyamana Tulyam. That is the example he gives. That is the illustration that comes closest to a movie. Closest to a movie. Like you just visualize a big mirror. In a movie you have a lens, you know. Here he talks of a mirror. And there is a portrait of a city with multiple details, with vivid details, a portrait of the city. It is held before the mirror. Now you see an entire city inside the mirror. A 40-story building, where is it? Inside the mirror. The people on the streets, where are they? Inside the mirror. The animals, the buildings, the living, the non-living, the fort, the encampments, everything is inside the mirror. Similarly, the universe is inside you. And one more thing I tell you. You never see what is outside. Because you see only the light reflected by the outside. What is outside? I tell you how. You can understand it very clearly. You are standing in a dark room. There is a pot there. you don't see the pot. Pot is there, don't see the pot. When pot is there, your eyes are open. Why don't you see the pot? If you are accustomed to seeing the pot, then see the pot. There is a pot there. And you are standing there, you see? No, you cannot see. Okay, I put this switch on. Now you see. Now what will you see? What was not there earlier? What has suddenly come into the scene? That only you see. That is what? The light. Therefore, when you put the switch on, do you see the light or do you see the pot? You see the light. You don't see the pot. You see the light. Always you see the light. You never see the pot. You see the light. Okay? You never ever see the pot. You see the light. And where do you see the light? Behind the retina you see the light. In those optical sensations you see the light. In the brain optic center you see the light. And what you see, you interpret it as a pot. And therefore pot is in your head. Outside what is. What is there inside is pot. Outside it is clear. Therefore you never see anything outside. You see only the light. Maybe reflected by the outside, but you see only the light. You hear your own sense, you see, to make it simple, you perceive only your own sensations. You do not perceive anything outside. There is no sound outside. Sound is not there outside. Sound is what you hear. What is outside is not sound. What is outside is vibration. I will ask you a Zen master's question. In a forest where there is nobody, no human being around, a tree has fallen, will there be any sound? No. There is a human being, then there will be sound. Because sound is what you hear, not what is outside. Sound is what you hear. You see, this Veena person, if he is inexperienced, there is no music. There is only ting, 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 ting like that. Okay? But if he is experienced, he puts a kind of a synchronicity into those ting, 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 and he will make it here appear or sound like a tune. Therefore, outside there are all strings and vibrations. The music is in your head. Music is not outside. Anyway, therefore, Vishwam Nijantargatam. The universe is entirely within you. You understood that? Vishwam Nijantargatam. Now, we can make some progress. Let us look at that verse in the light of this understanding. So he gives one more example. I have taken the example of sound, this, that, all those. And he has given the example of water and waves. Okay? So Atma alone is. That is the final conclusion. Now he says, this is, we say, upper cloth. What do you mean by upper cloth? Upper cloth is your imagination, right? I am putting it on the upper part of the body, therefore you call it upper cloth. Suppose I fold it and put here, then what do you call it? Do you understand? So I fold it and put here. Do you call it upper cloth? This is tablecloth. What do you mean by tablecloth? I will pull it out and put on my shoulders. Then what you will call it? You will not call it tablecloth. These are all your imagination. They are nothing but imagination. Now come to the cloth. What do you mean by cloth? It is not cloth. It is a web and weft. Thana bana it is. Thana bana. The web and weft. In Telugu we call it padugu peka. Okay, in Hindi thana bana. And in English, not web and weft. Warp and weft. Warp and weft, not weft, sorry. So it is warp and weft. Means horizontal threads and vertical threads. They are all threads. Not even so many threads. The same thread goes, comes back, and then it becomes horizontal, vertical, like that. Therefore, except thread, there is nothing else. Only thread is there. You call it shirt, banian, underwear, upperwear, middlewear, all kinds of names you give to it. It is nothing but yarn. Nothing but yarn. Thread. That is all what it is. So, pataha means a piece of cloth. Vicharitaha, if you investigate. You have to investigate, you have to inquire. You have to learn. You see, when you walk in, you should not walk in to be told. You should not walk in to be told. You should walk in to learn. When you walk in to be told, then you become the dumb student, and your focus is on the person called Guru, and you are waiting to be told. I use the harshest possible word to convey the message. When you are waiting to be told, you are as good as dead, because you are not animate anymore. You have become inanimate. You are waiting to be told. You know, even the pashu doesn't wait to be told. It has its own instinct and its own thinking. Only the believers, they don't have even the basic instinct of thinking themselves. Anyway, I am sorry, I am a bit harsh about it. So you are waiting to be told it is as good as a dead wood. It should not be like that. When you are learning, oh my God, that is something. You are learning. Means you are Atmano. You are nothing short of Saraswati. That is called goddess. That is, you become the divinity itself when you are learning. That's why that point is well made. So vicharitaha. You have to inquire, investigate, you have to learn. When you investigate, then it becomes very clear that there is no pataha, there is no piece of cloth, there is only thread, tantumatram. In the same way, the movie, applied to the movie, there is no hero, only light is there. Heroine, no heroine, only light. No villain, only light. Tragedy, no tragedy, only light. Comedy, no comedy, only light. Mountain, no mountain, only light. River, come on, no river, only light. Only light is there. Similarly, only Atma is there. Nothing else is there. Atma tanmatra mevedam tadvat. Tadvat means in the same way, Vishwam, the world that you experience, vicharitam. If you investigate carefully, if you examine carefully, Atma tanmatra mevedam. It is only that much, namely the pure light of consciousness, which is Atma. You tell me, I will ask, if I conclude this with this point, you want to worship God, right? Fine, you should do that. By all means you should do. Your God, what you call Ishvara, is that Ishvara that you worship or you wish to worship, is that Ishvara sentient or insentient? Chetana or achetana? Chetana, right? Not Jada. I hope so, right? Okay, not Jada. Now, what you are looking at, and then the one who is looking at, the one who is looking, and what is looked at, okay? Drashta, Drishya. In the two, which is sentient and which is insentient? The Drishyam is insentient. It is Jada. The Drashta is sentient. Right? The entire universe is drishya, and therefore it is jada. The one who is looking at the universe, the one who perceives, is chetana. Now, where do you want to search for your God? In jada or in chetana? You have to search for your God in chetana. You have to search for the God in yourself, not outside of you. How can the God who is sentient will be outside? If he is outside, then he becomes insentient. Jada ho jata hai. Bhagavan daru bhuto murarihi. So the Bhagavan has become a piece of wood. That in Jagannath Puri, like that it is said. Therefore Bhagavan becomes jada. Now you want your Bhagavan to be jada? No. We want our Bhagavan to be chetana. Then you have to look for Bhagavan in chetana, not in jada. If you say, though we are looking at jada, it inspires us to go to chetana, then that way you have to validate the jada. That is how you have to include the idol worship. Though it is idol is jada, we don't want to stop there. It takes us to the chetana. You have to include it that way. Otherwise, it becomes untenable. Therefore, you have to search for that God in the awareness absolute that is in yourself. You have to look within. You have to search within. It is like Hanuman searching for Sita. Hanuman searches for Sita in Lanka. Will he find Sita in Lanka? Lanka is very beautiful. There are many beautiful people are there. There are many wonderful women are there in Lanka in the palaces. So will he find Sita among them? No. He will find her in the Ashoka, in the forest, in the woods he will find. Ashoka woods he will find, not in the Lanka. Similarly, you won't find God in Lanka of this world. You will find it Ashoka of your heart. That is the Atma. Atma is the God. Okay? So, let us say the verse and conclude it. Tantu matro bhave deva. Sorry. Pato yadvad vichaditaha Atma tanmatra me vedam Tadvad vishvam vicharitam. The same idea is presented further in verse number 6 and 7. We will see them tomorrow morning. Om Purnamada 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 Purnamada